Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome back. This is going to be episode 1 of Vampirella, the resin figure I am working on for another Halloween build. I went ahead and finished up on cleaning any kind of a flash or excess resin that were on her various parts. And I'll kind of start with her arm here with her hands. Upon further inspection, especially around the fingers and of course her arm, we got rid of the seams and the excess flashing around the fingers. And with that, I've been using basically once again these 3 types of files to help clean her up. So yeah, like I said, I did around her bracelets and her fingers and whatnot, and so it looks to me like it's nice and clean now. Went all the way around and looks good. As far as Vampirella herself, as you recall, we glued on her boots. I did a little bit more cleanup on that too as well. I used some of the Bondo glazing and spot putty to help fill in the gaps between her calf muscles that lead into her boots. So I went ahead and cleaned that up. I basically used a toothpick to apply around the boots themselves, let her dry, and then I went back and I actually used some of the 91% alcohol with a Q-tip to clean up the putty where it didn't need to be, and so it looks pretty clean all the way around. Another thing that I mentioned before, we had basically 4 little pinholes that were on her upper chest here. So I basically again took a toothpick and took some CA gap filling glue and just dipped the Q-tip in it and just kind of dabbed it where the holes are and got those sanded down smooth. So I think at this point we are ready to go ahead and start priming Vampirella and her base. So stand by and we will be right back. Well, welcome back, and as you can see, we are out here in the garage again. I laid out the pieces. Basically what I did was actually mask off this is basically where her boot placements are going to be, and I just want to cover that up so that later on when we apply the figure to the base, the CA glue will hold on. So that is done. As far as her arm, I went ahead and masked off this area where it's going to be glued to her main figure. So I just apply a little bit of some masking on there as well, so that the primer and the paint doesn't interfere with the CA glue. And then of course I did the same thing on the opposite side of her arm where it's going to be connected. So hopefully you can see that. And we'll be right back. As you can see, I basically got set up here on my little table here. I got a turntable on top of that. I got everything protected with some napkins here so I can easily turn it. I'm going to start off, well, I did start off with using some adhesion promoter from Dupli-Color. And as far as the primer, same thing. I'm using the Dupli-Color Automotive Primer Series. I'm using the filler type for filling deep scratches, but it does sand easily. So those are my 2 main things that I'll be using as far as doing the initial priming of the kit. So sorry about the light. Hopefully you can pick up some of it. If not, I'll just explain what's going on. I basically already laid out a light coat of the primer, letting it dry, because the stuff dries pretty easily, especially when you're out here in the garage. I'm going to go ahead and apply one more coat of the Dupli-Color primer, and have at it. As you can see, I'm just applying real light coats as I'm turning it around, and I think that looks pretty good. Next up will be Vampirella herself. I'll probably go ahead and start with her arm, but go ahead and let this one set up and dry a little bit. Alright, next up is Vampirella's right arm. As you can see, I got some alligator clips on it. I just got enough that I can grasp onto part of the connection point there. Hopefully it'll hang on when I'm spraying. I'll do the same procedure as far as the adhesion promoter first, and then we'll go with the primer. Alright. Well, here she is, all basically primed up and everything. I got her on, sprayed her on both sides, several light coats, and her hair I basically went over a few more times because it's very detailed, and I want to get into all the crooks and nannies of her hairline. I do have her on some parchment paper. I thought that might be the best thing to use instead of putting on basically a paper towel, because as I'm spraying, I don't want to get any of the paper towel impressions on her skin. So I just thought about the parchment paper. It might be easier because it's smooth and better to use, especially if I'm laying her down while I'm spraying. I also finished up on the arm, as you can see here. Hopefully you can see that. Like I said, it's kind of poor lighting, but basically the arm is done. Again, after doing the priming, you can see maybe right there on the elbow, there's a couple of pinpoint holes there. I might go back and touch that up with some CA glue and smooth it out a little bit and respray it. As far as the base is concerned, here is the base, already primed up and everything, so that came out looking pretty good. And like I said, I'm going to step back now and let this sit for a day or two, and until the next time we have another update. So until then, everybody have a good day, and we will catch you on the next episode. Until then, see you later. Bye.